The Grand Chamber of the Zirthari Accord, a diplomatic conclave of the galaxy's most powerful species, shimmered with artificial starlight. Suspended above a planet-sized space station, the hall was a masterpiece of alien engineering. Its vaulted ceiling projected the constellations of 100 worlds, its polished obsidian floor reflecting the figures of those who dare to stand upon it. Commander Ethan Graves stood among them, hands clasped behind his back, his dress uniform crisp but utilitarian. Humanity's delegation was small, their presence tolerated rather than welcomed. The assembled alien dignitaries, scaled-furred and chitin-plated, spoke in murmurs, their glances sliding over to humans like one might acknowledge an inconvenient shadow. Ethan was used to it. At the center of the hall, a raised dais held a sight that demanded attention. A row of potential consorts, each selected from noble houses or warrior clans, their presence political tool. Some were draped in ceremonial silks, others adorned in battle-marked armor, each waiting for an offer. Among them, one stood apart, asterisk, veiled, silent, untouched, asterisk. She was Alvana, a name spoken in whispers, her race a mystery even among the Accord. While the others had received suitors within minutes, she had remained unchosen. Even now, the aliens deliberately looked away from her, their expressions carefully neutral or subtly dismissive. Ethan observed the scene with sharp calculation. The other consorts had been claimed swiftly. A massive Vorthak warlord had taken a scale beauty from the Zephyr clans. A delegate from the Kelshiri Mindweavers had selected a lithe, many-eyed empath. All were alliances of convenience, power, or necessity. But no one would touch the veiled princess. She was being avoided. A hushed conversation nearby caught his attention. "Of course no one will take her," rumbled a Draxian diplomat, his split mandibles clicking in distaste. "The price is too high." A Zelvari noble, tall and skeletal, chuckled. "Not just the price. The risk. The humans might be foolish enough to." He stopped when he noticed Ethan watching. Ethan allowed a slow, deliberate smirk to form. "By all means, don't let me stop you. What exactly is a risk?" The noble gave an exaggerated shrug. A human wouldn't understand. Ethan's smile didn't waver. "Try me?" The Draxian's mandibles spread in a mockery of a grin. "She is cursed." A lesser man might have dismissed such a claim outright. But Ethan had seen enough war, enough deception, to know fear rarely came from superstition alone. He studied the veiled figure, her posture perfectly composed, her hands resting lightly at her sides. She did not move, did not react, as if she already knew the world had made its decision about her. And yet, something in the way the dignitaries refused to meet her gaze made Ethan's instincts tighten. They were afraid of her. "Or perhaps," Ethan said, tilting his head, "you're afraid of what she might be worth." Silence. The moment stretched, tension thick between them. Then, with the smallest of nods, Ethan stepped forward. A ripple of movement spread to the crowd as aliens turned in surprise. The veiled princess did not stir, but the attendants beside her hesitated, their discomfort evident. Ethan ignored them. "I claim her." The words echoed through the chamber, stark and irrevocable. A stunned pause followed. Then outrage. "You cannot be serious," hissed the Zelvari noble. The Draxian diplomat's mandibles snapped shut in agitation. "Do you even understand what you've done?" Ethan held his ground. "I know an opportunity when I see one." At last she moved. The veiled princess lifted her chin just slightly, the faintest tilt of acknowledgement. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was soft but edged with steel. "You're either very brave," she said, "or very foolish." Ethan allowed a grin. "Usually both." For the first time, she turned to face him fully. Even through the intricate, shadowy veil, Ethan could feel the weight of her gaze, asterisk, measuring him, searching asterisk. A chime resonated through the chamber. The Accord's ruling AI intoned, "The claim has been made. The bond is sealed. Departure is authorized." No one objected. They wouldn't dare. The claim, once spoken, could not be undone. Ethan turned to leave, and Zalvanna followed. Behind them, whispers surged. Plans were already being made. Forces were already in motion. But Ethan didn't care. He had just rewritten the game. And now, the real challenge would begin. The corridors of the Zirtheri diplomatic station were pristine and silent, their walls humming with the quiet resonance of artificial gravity. Commander Ethan Graves strode with measured purpose, the veiled princess keeping pace beside him. She moved with effortless grace, her dark, shimmering attire flowing like liquid shadow, her veil still concealing all but the faintest outline of her features. She had not spoken a word since the chamber. Ethan had dealt with unreadable alien commanders before, but Zalvanna was different. The silence between them wasn't cold. It was deliberate, as though she were waiting to see what he would do next. He had claimed her before an audience of some of the most powerful species in the galaxy, and now he had to figure out exactly what he had claimed. A part of him relished the challenge. The diplomatic escort left him at the entrance to the human delegation's temporary quarters. Bare, utilitarian rooms that lacked the decadence of the other species' accommodations. The moment the doors sealed behind them, Ethan turned, arms crossed over his chest. "All right," he said. "No more theater. Let's talk." Zalvanna stood motionless for a moment before raising a single hand to the edge of her veil. With slow precision, she pulled it away. Beneath it, her face was striking. Asterisk, asterisk, not monstrous, not alien in the grotesque way the whispers had implied, but something far more dangerous. Asterisk, asterisk, her skin had an ethereal sheen, marked with delicate bioluminescent traces that pulsed faintly along her cheekbones and down her neck, shifting in color as though responding to unseen stimuli. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, held no fear. Ethan had expected deformity. What he got was power. "You are not what they say you are," he murmured. She arched a single, elegant brow. "Neither are you." He smirked. "Fair enough. But let's start with the obvious. Why the hell was everyone so eager to pretend you didn't exist?" Zalvanna studied him before speaking, as if weighing the cost of her words. "Because they fear me." Ethan leaned against the cold metal wall. "Fear you or what you can do?" A long pause. Then, soft but deliberate, she said, "Both." The air between them tensed. Ethan didn't need a translator to know the weight of her words. "The rumors say you're cursed," he pressed, "that any who take you are doomed. I don't believe in curses, so tell me, what's the real reason they avoid you?" Her fingers traced the faint bioluminescent markings along her wrist, as if lost in thought. Then she met his gaze, steady and unflinching. "My people have long hidden what we are truly capable of," she said. "The veiled line, the bloodline I descend from, is the most dangerous of all. We are unstable in the eyes of the other races, uncontrollable." Ethan felt a familiar prickle of instinct. The way she said it wasn't arrogance. It wasn't a boast. It was a warning. "They would rather cast me aside," she continued, "than allow me to claim what is rightfully mine." Ethan exhaled slowly. So that was it. This wasn't about politics or alliances. It was about control. "You're a threat," he said simply. Her lips curved, but there was no humor in it. "And now, by choosing me, so are you." A flicker of movement on his wrist-mounted communicator drew his attention. A silent, encoded alert. Asterisk, asterisk, human diplomatic channels had been compromised, asterisk, asterisk. Not an outright attack. Not yet, but a warning that they were already being watched. Ethan's jaw tightened. They're not going to let this stand, are they? Zalvanna took a step closer, the faint glow of her markings intensifying as she did. "No," she said, voice smooth as silk. "They are not." Ethan met her gaze, and, for the first time, he saw something beneath the control, beneath the careful detachment. Resolve. She wasn't just accepting what was coming. She was ready for it. And so was he. The warning came in the form of silence. Ethan Graves had spent years on battlefields where the difference between life and death was often a fraction of a second. He knew the feel of a room that had just gone still, the way the air shifted when unseen eyes watched from the dark. And now, aboard the diplomatic shuttle taking him and Zalvanna away from the Zirtheria Accord, that silence pressed like a knife at his throat. The shuttle was too quiet. The human delegation's pilot should have been relaying standard departure checks, but their voices were absent from the comms. The two security officers stationed by the airlock, both former military, hadn't made their usual, gruff remarks about the mission, and Ethan could feel it. Something was wrong. Zalvanna sat across from him, her expression composed but unreadable. Though she had not spoken since boarding, Ethan knew she sensed it too. Her posture had shifted, ever so slightly, rigid, poised, alert. "We're not alone," she murmured. Ethan barely nodded. His instincts screamed at him to move, to act, but he didn't know where the threat was coming from yet. Then the lights flickered. A second later, the emergency klaxons blared, and the ship lurched violently. Ethan barely had time to brace himself before the artificial gravity cut out entirely. Zero-G, someone had just disabled their ship. Ethan shoved off the bulkhead, twisting midair to grab hold of the emergency panel. The holographic controls stuttered as they flickered online, but the readings told him what he already suspected. Asterisk, asterisk, external override. Asterisk, asterisk. They weren't in control of their own ship anymore. A hiss of decompressing air caught his attention. The bulkhead leading to the cockpit slid open, and then the attack began. A flash of motion. Asterisk, asterisk, three armored figures, asterisk, asterisk, propelled themselves into the cabin, their weapons bristling with plasma charges. Their armor was sleek, blackened with a chitinous sheen, the mark of high-level mercenaries. Hired killers. Ethan didn't hesitate. He never did. With a snap of movement, he launched himself toward the nearest attacker, using the Zero-G to twist his body around the mercenary's weapon. Before the assassin could fire, Ethan wrenched a rifle free and slammed an elbow into the alien's throat. The mercenary choked, spasming. Then Ethan finished the job with a brutal kick that sent the body spinning backward into the wall. One down. The second mercenary pivoted, taking aim at Zalvanna. Big mistake. She moved like a shadow, her body fluid even in weightlessness. With a flick of her wrist, a ripple of energy coursed along her fingertips, and suddenly, the mercenary's weapon crumpled inward as if crushed by an invisible hand. Ethan didn't have time to process what he just saw. The third attacker lunged for him, but Ethan was faster. He twisted the stolen rifle in his hands and fired. A sharp, searing bolt of plasma struck the mercenary square in the chest. The body tumbled lifelessly through the cabin. And then silence again. Ethan took a breath, forcing himself to steady his pulse. "Is that all of them?" he asked, already knowing the answer. Zalvanna didn't respond immediately. Instead, her gaze lifted toward the forward cockpit door. Her bioluminescent markings darkened, pulsing faintly. Ethan followed her gaze. And then, asterisk, asterisk, a deep, guttural voice echoed to the shuttle speakers. Asterisk, asterisk. "Not bad, human." The cockpit door hissed open. A fourth figure drifted forward, larger than the others, encased in reinforced battle armor. Unlike the mercenaries, this one wasn't in a rush. He moved with the confidence of someone who knew he had already won. Ethan recognized him immediately. Kareth Volume, a name spoken in the underworld circles of the Accord. A bounty hunter, a killer for hire. And judging by the gleam in his reptilian eyes, he had come specifically for Zalvanna. Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. "If you wanted to talk, you shouldn't have sent idiots ahead of you." Kareth smiled, his jagged teeth gleaming. "Oh, I didn't expect him to win. I just wanted to see how much of a fight you'd put up." His gaze flicked to Zalvanna. "Now I know." Ethan took a slow step forward, placing himself between the hunter and Zalvanna. "You here for me or for her?" Kareth's eyes darkened with amusement. "Oh, she's a prize. But you—" He chuckled, the sound rough and low. You're just a bonus. Ethan smiled back. Then he pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. Kareth laughed. I took the liberty of disabling your weapons, he said, lifting a small control device in his clawed hand. You didn't think I'd walk in here without an advantage, did you? Damn it. Ethan barely had time to react before Kareth launched forward. The bounty hunter moved impossibly fast in zero-G, closing the distance in a heartbeat. His armored fist caught Ethan across the jaw, sending him spinning. Pain flared through his skull. He tried to reorient himself, but Kareth was already on him. The second blow never landed, because Zalvanna moved. A pulse of raw energy rippled through the air, and suddenly Kareth was wrenched backward as if an invisible force had grabbed him by the throat. He slammed into the bulkhead with a sickening crunch, his body pinned in place. Ethan barely had time to process what was happening before Zalvanna turned toward him. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed with violent intensity, shifting through hues Ethan had never seen before. Her gaze locked onto Kareth, and her voice, when she spoke, was not entirely human. You will leave, she said, or I will unmake you. Kareth snarled, struggling, but it was useless. Whatever force held him in place was beyond him, beyond any of them. Ethan saw it in Karetha's eyes, the exact same fear he had seen in the eyes of the Accord diplomats. They had been afraid of her for a reason, and now Ethan understood. For a long, terrible moment, Kareth struggled, his body trembling against the invisible hold. Then, finally, his gaze flicked to Ethan, his expression twisted in fury. You have no idea what you've unleashed, he rasped. And then Zalvanna let go. Karetha's body crashed to the floor. Without hesitation, he activated his emergency evac beacon, and a split second later, he vanished in a burst of shimmering light. Gone. Silence filled the cabin once more. Ethan turned to Zalvanna, his breathing uneven. She met his gaze, her markings still glowing faintly, though her expression remained unreadable. That, Ethan said last, exhaling sharply, was something you probably should have mentioned earlier. Her lips curved slightly. You never asked. Ethan laughed, shaking his head. The game had just changed. And now, every power in the galaxy would be coming for them. The emergency lights flicker across the shuttle's damaged interior, casting long shadows over the bodies of the fallen mercenaries. The scent of scorched metal and ozone lingered in the air, a silent testament to the battle that had just unfolded. Ethan Graves rubbed his jaw where Kareth Val's strike had landed, still feeling the residual ache. The bounty hunter had escaped, but not before revealing something Ethan couldn't ignore. Asterisk, asterisk, every major faction in the Accord would come for them now. Asterisk, asterisk. And it was because of her. He turned to Zalvanna, who stood amidst the wreckage, unbothered, her gaze distant. The faint glow of her bioluminescent markings pulsed erratically, betraying what her composed expression did not. Ethan exhaled sharply. So, you had to tell me what the hell that was? Zalvanna met his gaze, her voice smooth, yet carrying an undertone of something ancient. That was me choosing to survive. Ethan barked a laugh, shaking his head. Survive? You nearly ripped him apart with your mind. That's not exactly standard diplomatic protocol. Her expression didn't change. I never said I was a diplomat. That made him pause. Zalvanna stepped closer, her movements precise, deliberate. You think they avoided me out of superstition, out of petty fear. But the truth is worse. Her voice lowered, as if the words themselves carried weight. I am the last of the veiled line, a bloodline that was never meant to survive. Ethan frowned. Meaning? She studied him for a long moment, then lifted her hand. The air around her shimmered, a strange distortion rippling through the space between them. For a fraction of a second, reality itself seemed to bend. Then it was gone. Ethan stiffened. He had been in war zones, had faced down horrors that most men wouldn't even dream of. But this was something else. You're not just some political outcast, he said slowly. You're a weapon. Zalvanna's gaze didn't waver. I am what they made me. Silence stretched between them. Ethan pinched the bridge of his nose. So, Let me get this straight. You're the last of a bloodline that the Accord tried to erase, because you're some kind of, what? Living anomaly? She inclined her head. Something like that. Ethan exhaled, already calculating their next move. The moment they left this shuttle, they'd be hunted. Every faction in the galaxy would see them as a threat, an asset, or a target. So what's the play? He asked. Zelvana stepped forward until she was mere inches from him. That depends, she said softly. You claimed me before the entire Accord, knowing nothing of what I was. She tilted her head slightly. Now that you do, will you still stand by that claim? Ethan looked at her, really looked at her. Beneath the controlled exterior, beneath the centuries-old weight of what she was, he saw something else. Asterisk, asterisk a person, not just a legend. Asterisk, asterisk. His lips quirked into a small, wry smile. I don't back down. Never have. Her expression shifted, just slightly. Not quite a smile, but something close. Then we have work to do. The comm panel crackled to life before Ethan could respond. The shuttle sensors, damaged but still functional, detected incoming ships. Multiple. They had found them. Zelvana turned toward the viewport, watching as distant lights approached through the black void. It begins, she murmured. Ethan checked his rifle, rolling his shoulders. Good. I was getting bored. The first enemy vessel locked onto their position, and then the chase began.